People are really appreciating the Marvel Rivals Squirrel Girl glow up. That was hard to say. Marvel Rivals has a whole new group of fans interested, hyped, or just at least curious about Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl has had a lot of stops and starts, years at a time when she's not been used. And she's oftentimes written off entirely as just a joke character, which is not surprising given the fact that her debut story was a more comedic outing, and the one long-running series that she's featured in has also had a comedic tone. But even though she has those elements to her, there is an endearing quality to the character, at least for some. Miles may vary. But over time, she's managed to win some people over. Her intro story is often quickly glossed over with, and she defeated Dr. Doom. But it's a fun story worthy of looking at that has a decent amount of history to it. So we're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna dive into the coming of Squirrel Girl. There's no ellipses there, that's why I tried to put the pause, but then if you put the pause, it makes it seem like you're trying to make some kind of innuendo joke. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics. Let's give some love to Squirrel Girl.
Boys, get him!
I'm trying to find a way to discuss the tick flying squirrel, but it's probably not gonna happen. So in the episode The Tick vs. Education, there's a bit of a parody character called Flying Squirrel, who seems to have been modeled off of Squirrel Girl. That episode released in 1996. Now, as for official Squirrel Girl, she debuted in Marvel Superheroes number 8, the winter issue of 1991, and was the second run of the Marvel Superheroes comic. She featured in the third and final story of that issue. Her creators were Will Murray and Steve Ditko. Yes, Steve Ditko. He also does the plotting for this issue, and it's a fairly fun outing for him. The credit is divided as Ditko on plot, pencils, and inks, with a script by Murray. Christy Shealy did the colors. On the character creation, Murray stated, "Actually, I created Squirrel Girl in script form without any artist input. Tom Morgan was originally going to draw it, but when he dropped out, I requested Ditko and got him. Ditko did a great job in bringing my baby to life. He invented that knuckle spike. It wasn't in the script. I based Squirrel Girl, ironically enough, on a long ago girlfriend who read comics and was into critters, wild animals of all types. Coincidentally, she was a big Ditko fan. I think I got the idea because I had a bunch of squirrels running around my roof and sometimes coming in through my open bedroom window, and inspiration struck. So Squirrel Girl had a real-world inspo, who we will have some quotes from later, so stay tuned. Murray apparently was initially thinking of a Peter Pan-like costume for the character, but Ditko took it more into the realm of something that looks like a squirrel would have put together for themselves. As for the debut story, it's an Iron Man team-up. When an unsuspecting Iron Man is out testing a new feature on his armor and he finds himself set upon by Squirrel Girl, who manages to make him crash by clinging to him like a squirrel. Hi, I'm Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl?
Yeah, neat name, huh?
Well, it does rhyme. What's the idea of jumping me?
Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl? Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl right off the bat has a very keen personality, and she's a bit eccentric and a bit naive and also quite young.
What makes you think I want or need a partner?
Every hero should have a partner, don't you know that? Besides, I like you. You're my favorite Avenger. Also, I live around here, which means I can be home in time for dinner. Unless we have any really big adventures in China or Mexico or Connecticut. Neat faraway places like that.
I see. How old are you?
15? Well, 15 next July, actually, but who cares about dumb stuff like that? So 14-year-old Squirrel Girl is also a mutant, and since Tony's her favorite, she wants to show him all the cool powers. The character's age is important because it really explains a lot of her behavior, which is very childlike. She's young. She's just a kid trying to impress her idol. She's definitely on the more unworldly teenage side of things, so mileage may vary as whether people find her personality cute or irritating. She is meant to be at least a little bit annoying, but more in a kid's type of way, not in a serious you're meant to dislike her kind of way. As for her powers, she has the agility of a squirrel, a knuckle spike. It's my knuckle spike! Iron Man plus Squirrel Girl. Oh, he's gonna have to carve that out. He's gonna be in trouble. I have finger claws too, but they're too little for fighting. Great for climbing though. The art really does capture her energy. You can feel the enthusiasm just radiating off of her. She's also got a tooth that can chew through solid wood, and the tail is real. But the most iconic ability, tail aside, is the ability to communicate with squirrels. Not command them and bend them to her will. It's more that she's talking to them and they have a good relationship with each other. It's more Disney princess style. Listen. The squirrel sounds. How do the squirrels sound?
Very nice. Really, you can stop now.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The art in this issue really does convey the emotional states of the characters. Even with his features blocked off, Tony's able to project such resigned disappointment that this is how his day turned out. Ditko does it throughout. He manages to draw and shade and shape the mask in such ways that it mimics facial expressions. Now, Iron Man tries to convince her that this is a job for the X-Men. She'd be great for that team, but she's not into it, and the panel of her explaining it just gets more and more relevant as time goes on. I don't want anybody to know I'm a mutant. Besides, they're also stuck up, especially that obnoxious kitty Pride. Tony now has to get firm. He tells her no. He's a solo act, and also she is underage and he doesn't want to be responsible for that. However, there's more issue to go, because on her way to bother Iron Man, she got into a fight with Dr. Doom, who now is there to seek vengeance and salvage his rep. He says that he wasn't even going to do anything with Iron Man. He was on to a rendezvous to do something else. A rendezvous which need not concern you, direct quote. So off to play with his Fantastic Four dolls or just stock read. But now he abducts Iron Man and Squirrel Girl in his airship, which looks like a UFO. What was he planning on doing? Was he gonna make some crop circles? Iron Man is stuck in bonds that are draining his armor's battery. But you can't fail. You're my hero.
There's always a first time. Do you have any tools in those pouches?
No, this is my nut stash. I eat them for energy. Try some macadamias. They're great for extra pep. Squirrel Girl doesn't need any extra pep. She's already pepped up. Nothing can harsh Squirrel Girl's vibes. Also, the nut utility belt, it put the Squirrels in My Pants song from Phineas and Ferb in my head, and now it won't leave.
That girl's got some serious squirrels in her pants.
Doom is planning to end them dramatically via death trap, and partially because Squirrel Girl reminds him. But we're not dead!
Thank you for reminding me.
Iron Man does try to convince Doom to let her go. I mean, she is a child and really doesn't have anything to do with this. She did not know any better. She didn't even know who Dr. Doom was. However, Squirrel Girl is able to save the day by summoning her squirrels when she sees how low they're flying, and they wreak havoc on the ship. They free Tony. They stop the death trap crush wall. It was one of those classic, it's gonna come in real slow and squish you. And then we get the iconic part, which is the one most people remember, which is they take down Doom. There's one squirrel being thrown here by Doom that has this 1,000-yard stare. It gets me every time. Now, Doom isn't captured, but he does flee. He must escape the squirrels, which is something that people laugh at because, well, it is an amusing image. Squirrels being swarmed like that would be terrifying, and they have sharp and strong teeth. I wouldn't want to be swarmed by squirrels. Cute doesn't equal harmless or benign. Got away, huh?
Afraid so.
That squirrel unmasked Doom. That squirrel's name is Monkey Joe. Monkey Joe is going to be referenced later on. Monkey Joe is the MVP of the squirrels. There's this really cute visual detail where Squirrel Girl tries to use her tail to hide her face because she's so embarrassed. It's just a nice way to really drive home the fact that the tail is part of her. Otherwise, there are moments where it does just feel like it's tacked on. However, she feels a bit better when Tony tells her that, you know what, for all things considered, she did a pretty good job. What am I going to do? I'm not big enough to go superheroing on my own, and I can't go back to school. Everybody calls me rodent.
Take my advice. You've seen how dangerous this business is. Take a few years off, finish school, go to college. If you still want to do this after you graduate, look me up.
You mean it? You'll give me a chance then?
What I meant was I'll put in a good word for you with the Avengers. They'll take anyone.
But I'm not big on crowd scenes. If you don't mind, I'll keep looking until I find someone who likes me. And then Tony said, oh, all right. Here, write this name down. Bruce? Wait... No, he tells her that he actually does like her and, stay in school. This is responsible Tony Stark. The story ends on the Avengers won't believe this. It's a cute story. It's fun and it has some funny moments. But it doesn't push the suspension so far that it feels like anyone is out of character. Doom is entirely petty enough to do this. However, if one found Squirrel Girl to be annoying or her enthusiasm grating, then this would be a more irritating outing. And there is a joke character element to her because it is humorous to see Doom taken out by squirrels. And so for some, that set them off right away because it's like she's being overpowered. She should be able to take down Doom. Power scaling. So while this issue is making fun of the types of power she has, it does also show them to be useful, and it takes the time to not completely crush her. It does leave it open in such a way that one could see her later on. But following this, she wasn't used too much, not for a long time. There was a one-panel appearance in Marvel Year in Review 92. There were plans for her to be used in The New Warriors under Fabian Nicieza, but he left the book before that could happen. This was in 1996. But he does get to play with the idea a decade later in I Heart Marvel Masked Intentions, in a story where she had a huge crush on Speedball. And you get odd little details like the fact that her lips taste like hazelnuts. It was 2006. And the year prior, in 2005, she was part of the miniseries Great Lakes Avengers by Dan Slott, which also kept the character in a more humorous light, and is where you get to see the first update on her costume. But Unbeatable Squirrel Girl from Ryan North and Erica Henderson in 2015 probably gave the character her most iconic look. And that's the series where many may be more familiar with the character from time of recording, or series is because it started and then restarted. There was also a podcast years later after it ended. Now that one was a more comedic-based series, which was a bit of a taking the character back to base after, say, the New Avengers era, where she was a nanny to Luke Cage and Jessica Jones's child. She was kind of hanging around the mansion. Her time there began in 2011. Since the 2010s, she's been more utilized than the gaps in her first appearance, so we're cliff notesing a bit. She's even been in adaptations like Ultimate Spider-Man and Marvel Rising. But the New Avengers era went in a bit of a different direction, and that decided to introduce a sexual history, or it implied a sexual history between her and Wolverine. And then the Wolverine series took it even further by showing that she was one of his sexual fantasies. This was detailed in 2011 in Wolverine 8. Maybe that's why Cyclops is blasting him on the cover. Not in my Christian Minecraft server. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl #2 would actually address this in the letters page, making it something far more innocent. The idea that he had stolen a cab from her and she never wanted to see him again. For some, that was entirely unnecessary. For others, they found the idea of her and Wolverine a bit creepy because even though she was older in that series, they were still playing upon the idea that she was younger than most of the other people there. And just the kind of innocent vibe they gave her, people were like, what was Logan doing? For some, it's just not a big deal. And that seems to extend to Marvel Rivals because they mention it. It's referenced that she still has a crush on him.
I do still kind of have a crush on Wolverine.
It's definitely cuter there than in Logan's Mindscape. Now, the character's name is Doreen Green, which has an in-universe joke explanation of her parents just combining their names together. However, there are more details given in a seemingly unarchived piece that was on Sci-Fi Wire. There are quotes that still exist in the CBR piece, but I couldn't trace the original full source, sadly. Oh, I looked on the way back and everything. But you know what? If you find it, you know what to do. Link it down below. People want to know. But as for what's there, what we have is Murray detailing based on the character off of Doreen Greeley, describing her, stating, "In the middle of the church service, another baby squirrel poked its nose out of her jacket. She had rescued it. I had no idea it was there. The nickname Squirrel Girl may or may not have originated at that time. She was always into wildlife. She had dogs, cats, ducks, geese, and other critters. Somehow all of this combined in my mind in ways now half forgotten to produce Doreen Green, aka Squirrel Girl." So this interview occurs later than the first quote, because now there's more of a direct connection being made. The article quoting the original is from 2020, whereas the first quotes were from 2009. And there are also some quotes from Greeley, because in a fun turn of events, she remembered the exact squirrel that Murray was talking about. She stated, "You get to see them grow from the size of a pinky, then they get that big furry tail and they're so fluffy. There was one I really got attached to. Most squirrels were out in a week or two, but this one had been bitten or something. She had a crescent scar over her eye, and she went everywhere with me from April to November of 1989. Now, while Murray had told her that he was gonna base a character off of her, she didn't actually know that it had happened. The reason for that is that the story ran in a different comic than it was originally supposed to. It was originally supposed to be a fill-in for Avengers West Coast, but instead got published in the aforementioned Marvel Superheroes, and so she was following the other book, and when she didn't see it, she dropped it. It was only in 2015 when the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl launched that she realized that he'd really made the character. And she stated, "It was great to see all of the young fans react so positively to this character. There is an endearing element to Squirrel Girl, a sweet genuineness that if one relates to it or gravitates to it could lead them to discover a fun character. Although, like any character, she's not for everyone. Some wish the character was taken a little more seriously, or some were rubbed the wrong way by the whole Unbeatable moniker and find her ability to take people down either with squirrels or her personality grating rather than sweet. There was also a portion of people who really didn't like the look, the way that she was drawn in the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Marvel Rivals definitely has those people and then some covered. So Squirrel Girl has had quite the journey, and there's a lot more to her than some may imagine. She's the type of character who certain fans and creators grow quite fond of, and it keeps her alive. I think she's fun, and you need a variety of different types of characters out there, and she's kind of falling into that niche of just nice, keen, enthusiastic heroes. But those are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think of Squirrel Girl? Are you playing Marvel Rivals? Do you like squirrels? Share all your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please all YouTube things like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time today to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.